In Parshat VAYETZE, we read about the building of the 12 tribes of Israel through Yaakov's 4 wives, Leah, Rachel, Bilhah, and Zilpah. Okay? And what I'd like to focus on is one episode, an interchange between Yaakov and Rachel at a time of great stress in both of their lives. And that's why the title of the Dvar Torah today is Responding in Pain to the Pained. So let's take a look. The interchange happens at the very beginning of chapter 30 in Sefer Bereshit in the book of Genesis. And it goes as follows, source number 1. Vatera Rachel ki lo yalada leYaakov. This is after Leah has a number of children. Rachel, the co-wife, sees that she has not had any children with Yaakov. Vatikane Rachel ba'achota, and she became jealous of her sister. Vatomer el Yaakov havali vanim, and she said to Yaakov, give me children. V'im ayin meta anochi, and if not, I am dead. If not, I am dead. That's literally what it means, or I am dying. Okay, so Vayichar af Yaakov birachel. Yaakov became enraged with Rachel, or he was incensed with Rachel. Vayomer hatachat Elokim anochi, asher mana mimech perivatan. And he said, am I in God's stead? It is God who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb. Not I, not my fault. Don't blame me and don't put this on me. Pretty harsh. When I read Yaakov's response, I think about another response that a husband made to his wife who was childless. There's another story about a man who had 2 wives. It's the story of Elkanah. He had 2 wives, Penina and Chana. And Penina had lots of kids. Chana had none. And in that story, it seems like Elkanah was a little bit more sensitive. At least he tried. Maybe he was a bit clumsy because he was a man. But at least he tried. In that section, in the first chapter of the book of Shmuel, it says, Vayomer la Elkanah isha, Chana lama tivki. So Elkanah, her husband, says to her, Chana, why are you crying? V'lama lo tochli, v'lama yera levavech. Why are you not eating? Why is your heart so upset? Halo anochi tov lach me'asara banim. I am better for you. Aren't I as good as 10 children? I'm such a loving husband. What more do you need in life? But certainly, he was trying. At least he's trying. I'm not sure how much of a comfort he was to her, but at least he was trying. But Yaakov gets upset with Rachel. It's not even that he's trying to console her. He's trying to say, what are you saying? What you're saying is ridiculous. This has nothing to do with me. It's God taking away from you children. So don't pin this on me. Don't say, I have to give you children. So how do we understand this? The Medrash is quite disappointed in Yaakov's response as well. The Medrash actually tells us that Yaakov's response was inappropriate. And it tells us, we'll take a look at this Medrash from Medrash Rabbah, Bereshit Rabbah, in source number 3. Vayachar af Yaakov berachel. Rabbanan deroma'a b'shem Rabbi Alexandri b'shem Rabbi Yochanan Amar, that these rabbis, the rabbis of the south of Israel, in the name of Rabbi Alexander, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, said as follows. Hechacham ya'aneh da'at ruach. There's a pasuk in Job chapter 15 that states as follows. The wise man will respond with knowledge to the Spirit. Ze Avraham. This refers to Avraham, where it says, Vayishma Avram lekol Sarai. That Avram listened to the voice of his wife Sarah. And he attended to her. Avram was very much in sync with Sarah, and he listened to her voice. However, v'yimalei kadim bitno, but there's another kind of person who fills his belly with just hot wind from the east. And this refers to Ze Yaakov. This refers to Yaakov, who got incensed, who became upset inappropriately. As it says, Vayichar af Yaakov birachel vayomer, as it says, Yaakov got angry with Rachel. And here's the real kicker. Amar le HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kach onim es hamiikos. God says to Yaakov, is this how you respond to people in pain? To people who are actually experiencing terrible, terrible pain in life? Is this how you respond to them? Where's your sensitivity to another human being in pain? And chayecha shebanecha asidim la'amod lifnei bina. And therefore, I promise you, as punishment for your insensitivity, that your children will eventually have to stand before her son. What is that a reference to?
Yosef.
Right, Yosef and the brothers. Your punishment is that your children, your other children, are going to be humiliated in front of her son because of the way that you humiliated her. Anyway, then the Medrash continues and it says that when Yaakov said to her that God has withheld from you the fruit of the womb, he was basically saying, look, I'm capable of having children. Look at what the children I produced with Leah. So the problem is not me, the problem is with you. So basically, Amralo kach asa avicha li'imecha lo chagar matnav kinegdas. So she said yes, but when your father didn't have children, he prayed on behalf of his wife. And so you should do the same as well. So he said back to her, he said, but my grandfather was willing to do something which you have to date have not been willing to do, which is give your concubine to the husband, so that at least you could try to have foster children through your concubine. Avraham was given Hagar by Sarah, so maybe you should do the same. You should give Bilhah to me. She'll be my concubine, and at least through her you'll be able to build a family. And that's what happened. And eventually Rachel had Yosef. Now, the commentaries are disturbed as to why Yaakov gave such a harsh answer to Rachel, even though the Medrash says that he was punished for it, but we still have to try and at least understand Yaakov's insensitivity. This is a very righteous man. This is one of our avot. It's one of our patriarchs. So if it's a patriarch of ours, wouldn't we expect there to be some greater level of piety, of righteousness in the way that he deals with his wife? What are we supposed to learn from this interchange? So the Ramban, and I'm going to give you 3 commentaries that come to the defense of Yaakov Avinu's harsh response to Rachel. The Ramban in source number 4 states as follows: Uva'avur shedibra derech ga'agu'ei hanashim ha'ahuvot lahavchido b'mitata chara apo. It wasn't that Yaakov was upset at her request for children. He saw that she was desperate. But it was the way that she expressed her desire for children. He says, derech ga'agu'ei hanashim. He says, how would you translate that? The way that women emotionally express their desires. He says he didn't have patience for that. Oh my God, I'm going to die, right? Like some teenagers say. Oh my God, I could just die, right? And he felt that this was exaggerative. It was speaking in hyperbole. It was melodramatic. And that's what he didn't have patience for. He said, this is not appropriate. And therefore he told her, it's not my role to open your womb. It's God's role to open your womb. And therefore your melodrama should not be directed towards me. That's why he was upset with her. The Or HaChaim HaKadosh says that what Yaakov was upset with Rachel for was that she essentially cursed herself. She said, give me children because if not, I'm going to die. And what Yaakov was really upset with her about was, you should never say about yourself that you're going to die. That's not right. You shouldn't curse yourself. And Yaakov was actually foreshadowing his own mistake, because, as the Or Chaim points out, remember that episode that happens later in the Parsha, when Rachel steals the terafim of Lavan. She steals those statues, those little statuettes of Lavan, and hides them under her camel saddle. And Yaakov says, whoever took those shall not live. And right, and he had no idea that Rachel had taken them, and he thought for sure that no one in his camp had taken them. And yet, you see what happens when a tzaddik says, someone shall die, someone shall not live. And Yaakov, being cognizant of that, says to her, you shouldn't speak like that. How can you speak like that you're going to die? That's not right. You can say you're desperate, you can say you're unhappy, you can say that your life is unfulfilled, but don't say that you're going to die. That's not appropriate. I saw a very beautiful insight in a sefer called Beit Yitzchak, from Rav Yitzchak Wright Board, which was published around the turn of the 20th century. And he writes a very interesting idea. He says, Rashi says at the beginning of Parshas Noach, it says in the Parsha, Eila toldos Noach, Noach ish tzadik. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. So Rashi immediately jumps on that idea and he says, look, I don't understand. If the words Eila toldot Noach means these are the generations of Noach, then the pasuk should have immediately said, Vayoled Noach shlosha banim et Shem et Cham ve'et Yafet, that Noach's 3 children were Shem, Cham, and Yafet. But it doesn't say that. It says that these are the generations of Noach. Noach was a righteous man and walked with God. And then it says, Vayoled Noach shlosha banim et Shem et Cham ve'et Yafet. And then afterwards it says. So how do you understand this lack of sequence? So Rashi over there says, Ikar toldotehem shel tzadikim he mitzvot u'ma'asim tovim. Rashi says that really, what does the word toldot mean? It means the offspring. These are the offspring of Noach. What offspring do we create when we go through life? Yes, we have our children. But is that all the offspring that we create? We're constantly propagating offspring. Anytime we do good in the world, we've created offspring. We've allowed other people to benefit from goodness that is within us. We've created offspring in this life. So if you want to see the toldot, if you want to see the offspring or the things that result from our presence in life, just look at what remains after we leave this world. It's not just our children who remain after we leave. It's our good acts. It's our mitzvot. It's the lives that we've changed of other people who are not even related to us. Those are the toldot of a person. And so in that vein, the Sefer writes as follows. How can you say that if you don't have children, you're going to die? Don't you believe that the totality of a human being is not measured by the children that they have? The totality of a human being is measured by all of their offspring, not just their physical children. You can't find a sense of fulfillment in life only through your children. You have to find fulfillment in life through the good acts that you do. Those are actually, in many ways, the more significant offspring that you propagate in your life. And that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we as adults can make, we as parents can make, is that we invest so much in our children. Because when we get to a certain stage in life and we see, hey, this is it. It ain't getting better than this. This is where I'm going to be, and this is my station until 120. You know that stage what I'm talking about, where some of us have reached it, some of us have not reached it yet, where up until a certain point in your adulthood, you're constantly looking forward to the next chapter, the next mountain you can conquer, the next higher peak you can go to. And then at some point you sort of say, I don't know, when it's 50, 60, 70, whatever the age is, whatever age you feel is that age where you say, okay, I guess this is it. And that's when you start, or maybe you emphasize more, living life vicariously through children. And we as parents make a mistake when we do that. Sometimes we overextend ourselves into our children's lives, and we meddle, and we inquire, and we pry, and we do things that are not appropriate, because part of it is because we've come to the conclusion, well, if this is it for me, then let me see if I can live life through their eyes and through their new accomplishments and their conquests and so forth. And that's a mistake, because as long as you're alive, you still have more mountain peaks to climb. As long as you're alive, there's still more for you to do. As long as you're alive, no matter what your age is, you shouldn't resign yourself to say, well, this is it, this is the highest it's going to get. That's a mistake, because every single day is a new opportunity for mitzvot and for changing the world and for making the world a better place and for doing amazing things. And so what Yaakov was essentially criticizing Rachel for was her attitude that the totality of her life as a woman, as a human being, as a Jew, was having children. Now, you can easily write off Yaakov and say, because that's what she said. She says, give me children, because if not, I'm going to die. What do you mean you're going to die? You mean if you don't have children, there's no purpose anymore to your life? Of course there's purpose to your life. There's so many other things that you can accomplish as a living human being, as a righteous woman, other than raising children. Go ahead.
Maybe she was suicidal.
We don't know. I mean, I guess that would be your role to sort of give some psychoanalysis of the verses, and that may be an appropriate thing to do. It could be that she was depressed at this point. It could be obviously she's very depressed at this point. You're absolutely right. But that's the criticism that Yaakov presents to her. And now you may not be satisfied with that response, because even though what Rachel said was inappropriate, Yaakov still should have been more sensitive to that response. But at least that's the insight of this. I thought that was a very interesting approach. I just want to leave you with one last thing. And I think that it has to be taken into account. While it's very true that we expect our patriarchs and our matriarchs to speak nicely and to speak with righteousness and piety, we also have to take into account where Yaakov was in his life at this time, and have a little empathy for Yaakov as well. Yaakov was living in the house of Lavan. He was essentially a repressed and persecuted son-in-law who was constantly made to feel by his father-in-law that he was less than. From the very first moment that Lavan meets Yaakov, and Yaakov says, we're mishpacha, I'd like to work for you, and I'd like to marry your daughter. So Lavan meets a highly regarded person from his family, from the family line of Avram, who was well known. This is Avram Avinu's Enokel, his grandson. And instead of saying, what a privilege and what a blessing it would be for our two families to combine, what does he tell Yaakov? He says, Tov titi otalach mititi otali ish acher. Okay, better that I should give her to you than to give her to some other guy. That was his exact response in this parsha. Now, if you had heard that, if I said to my son-in-law, if he asked my daughter's hand in marriage, Rabbi Korobkin, I'd like your daughter's hand in marriage. All right, listen, compared to some of the other guys, you're not so bad. Is essentially what Lavan was telling Yaakov, right? Now, what kind of response is that? Immediately, it establishes a relationship of demeaning, of making Yaakov feel that he's of very little worth. That's why in the Haggadah we say, Arami Oved Avi, that Lavan really tried to uproot everything. Lavan really never presented the same physical threat that Paro did. So why does he get so much more billing over Paro? The Haggadah says, Paro only tried to destroy the males, and Lavan tried to destroy everyone, the males and the females. What are you talking about? Lavan was the father, he was the grandfather of these kids. He would never have killed his own grandchildren. So what are we discussing here? It was the psychological warfare that Lavan waged against his son-in-law. And if Lavan had been successful in spending all of this time doing these very subtle jabs at Yaakov, making him feel that he was inadequate as a son-in-law, as a human being, there never would have been a Jewish people. And that's really what it means in the Haggadah, is because you can demolish people without ever lifting a finger. All you have to do is say something very, very gentle and subtle and just totally destroy a person. And you can do it sometimes inadvertently and sometimes you do it consciously. And both of them are wrong. Just the different degrees of wrongness. But the point is that this is what Yaakov is living. This is the life he's living on a regular basis, living in Lavan's house. He's probably come home from an exhausting day out in the field, tending to the sheep, without any recognition or appreciation whatsoever. The first thing he gets when he walks through the door, walks through the door of the tent to see his favorite wife, Rachel, instead of her coming and saying, "How was your day? And I'm sure you must be exhausted. Come, let me give you something hot to drink. And you must, maybe you need a massage, and maybe you feel like you must have, tell me, what sheep did you save today? My hero, my Prince Charming." He is greeted with, "Give me children, because it's your fault that I have no children, and if not, I'm going to die." Now, Yaakov, had he not had the life of living with Lavan for all these years, probably should have responded differently. But we all come to a boiling point. We all come to a point of exasperation. And maybe what the Torah is simply expressing to us is that we can learn from Yaakov that even when we are at that point, when the Lavans of life, because we all have Lavans in our life, there's always, I guarantee you, each one of you has at least one Lavan in your life who's trying to put you down, trying to keep you down. Either because they're jealous of you or because they can't stand something about you and they want to tear you down. We have to remember that the Lavans of life can have an insidious effect on the way that we interact with people we love. Because even though we think that we can stand up against the Lavan, we have to remember that there could be a pressure valve that we explode to someone that we truly care about. And this is the lesson I think that we need to take from this story, is that even with all of the pressures of life, we have to remember not to take our own frustrations out on the people we love. And I think that's probably a good lesson, and that maybe that's what we'll leave with for today.